Yeah, these are all sort of related in my mind. Nobody else may see it, but I see a connection somewhere.
You don't know. We don't.
Well, one connection is that all of these are parts of one psychological theory or another. That's one connection, but there are, I think, deeper connections than that. Catharsis. Secret monsters slain, torn bellies rot in the sun, purified decay. Yeah, this is a rework of the haiku I brought last time. A lot of people didn't like one line or another, and I didn't really care for it all that much myself, so I put the purified decay at the last. It was on first, and I changed whatever that other line was to secret monsters slain. So it's a little more metaphorical. More metaphorical, is that a thing? Yeah.
It is in this one.
Sure. Next one. Observer effect. Mirrors dare to dream when finding themselves alone, remembering us.
Very good.
Peak experience. Fully in the frame. Art and artist unified. At home with the gods. Sorry, Robin. There's gods in that.
Oh no, I don't mind gods.
Now, gods are okay. Right?
It's just as long as they're not
One
codified into
One god.
You know.
One god that everybody fights over.
No, I knock it out, boys. I just it's just not my monkey, not my circus.
Okay, final stage. Banishing regret, triumphing. We talk today. Banishing regret, triumphing over despair, integrating peace. If you're interested, catharsis, I'm not sure which theory that comes from. It's in a lot of different theories. Observer effect, same deal. And that's also a spillover from quantum physics, the observer effect, and also anthropology, too. We all remember Jane Goodall and how she started a war among chimpanzees by feeding one group clumps of bananas and gave them something to defend, and so they started roving the perimeter with gangs to kill other chimpanzees that dared encroach upon their territory. And Jane Goodall was horrified, and I don't think she ever really fully realized that she and her group pretty much caused that by making a big difference in the standard of living of her group, the group she was studying, versus all the other groups of chimpanzees out there. And that was a clear case of the observer effect. But a lot of times the observer effect is more subtle, especially in quantum physics. There's at least one physicist said, we don't observe nature, we observe our methods of observing nature. Something along those lines. And in psychology, you have that thing too. The feeling of being angry is very different from the thought, I am angry. Because immediately when you have the thought, I am angry, it becomes more of a meta thing. And you're observing yourself, and in essence, you become a mirror of yourself. And it changes.
I just love that, though. Mirrors dare to dream when finding themselves alone.
It's highly speculative, but...
What's that?
Highly speculative, but also, I think, in a sense, we're the mirrors.
Yeah.
And we remember there's a sort of a time thing to it. We remember ourselves as we were at earlier times. And I think memories are very much like mirrors. And I think we change our memories in the process of remembering them. We edit them.
Of course we do. Yeah.
Sure.
What's that?
I'm convinced. We
Yeah.
change our memories.
We change our memories.
I remember.
Are you sure?
Yes. Yes, I have a very clear memory of a guy asking me to remember myself in a certain circumstance.
Yeah.
And so I did, and I pictured myself as if from outside of myself in the situation that I remembered.
Right.
So I know that memory is cobbled together somehow out
Sure.
of other elements,
It's like when we dream, and we dream where we are placed back in time. And we know that as a current dreamer, we look like this, but back in time, we're not this face, we're that face, whatever
Right.
that face is. And that's definitely cobbled together. I love the observer effect is definitely my favorite one of all three.
Yeah, it's kind of my
I like
favorite
that.
too.
That was the most complete of all of
Yeah,
four.
it's the cleanest of all the diction too. The Dare to Dream, and then the interior kind of verbals, finding and remembering.
And that one has a very personal meaning for me too, because when Nancy and I were first going out together way back in 1971, we spent a weekend in New Orleans, and I have a very clear memory of looking at myself in a full-length mirror, fully nude, admiring myself, because I was, pretty much a narcissist in those days, but I don't have an equally clear memory on that particular occasion of Nancy, who was in the bed not far from me, almost as nude, and certainly more worth remembering, I think, now than I thought at the time. And I dare to dream that I was a different person back then, but that's not going to happen. But, sometimes in my memories, I have a sort of an alternate universe memory where I had a little more sense. But it's fun to play with that sort of thing. And I think, mirrors are very much linked with alternate universes in my mind, and also in nuclear physics, quantum physics. Every time an electron zigs or zags, it creates an alternate universe in which something else happens. I kind of like peak experience though too. I don't know why.
The issue with that one is the final line almost feels disjointed with the first line.
Yeah.
You're like fully in frame.
Yeah.
And I like it almost and I think too is that even visually looking at it, it starts off like this pyramid. And your other ones don't do that. Like your other ones start.
Oh yeah, well that was intentional.
Yeah, and I think,
Yeah.
and I see that, and I think the kind of thing is like it almost feels like there's an extra word in there for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And
On the last line?
yeah.
Yes, I agree.
And it feels like it's almost like you're searching still for the ending of that one. It feels very incomplete to me. Like it feels. I don't know. It doesn't feel blank to me.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like it's saying what Glenn wants to say. It doesn't. Because I'm like the art and the artist unify. I'm like, okay, where we're going with this, and then you're like,
I may change the word "the" in the last line to "all." At home of
Where?
all gods.
It's not the for me. And
Okay.
I agree with Jason. It's the first two, the fully in the frame. I mean, art is always in the frame. When an artist paints, even a negative space, it's still within the framework of the artist's eye. So it doesn't, to me, it doesn't say anything. I would.
I guess what I was trying to express is that sometimes the artist can also be in the frame with the painting.
But that's your observer effect, which you said so beautifully and so subtly. Whereas this one and I totally agree with Jason, it does feel forced and it doesn't hit home the way it's sort of fully in the frame. Okay, art and artist unified. That is what you said in the line one. And home with the gods. I don't know. Artists I know are fairly tortured people, one way or another.
Some of them are.
I think we're talking, though, not about a person in the artist here, but but an experience. I mean,
Oh,
an
okay.
experience. It's
Yeah, that
that's
was
that moment when you are at one with
everything.
your art. Yeah, and
With
Yeah,
everything,
yeah.
basically.
I got it.
then you are at one with God or the gods or however you want to think. There's no separation between whatever that
Sure.
mystical quality is. And
Yeah, it's a
everything
Zen
else.
thing. It's a Zen.
Yeah.
Would you just back up?
You're at one with the mystical.
That's what's missing.
That's there. Thank you.
At one,
I wanted
at one
to try
with
to
the
rewind.
Wait. What are we missing?
At one with the gods, not home.
Oh,
At
at
one.
one with the gods. Yeah, okay. I can
Yeah.
live with that.
I was just flipping around. I thought at home, we started off at home with the gods.
Well, how about
Fully
at
in
one
the
with all
frame.
gods?
Art and artist.
It's not the.
It's not for the.
Yeah.
It's,
Well, it can be
It's-
the too, can it? But
No, there's too many,
all right.
and then you added one, and you got to.
Yeah, I think that says at one. Yeah, that says more what I'm trying to say.
Metaphors, because you have the frame, and you're going from frame to art to a framework of a house. In a separate metaphor, but you didn't set up a framework
Right,
of a house.
right.
You set up a framework of a painting.
Yeah, the art and artist immediately makes you think of the frame of a painting.
And then-
Yeah, this the idea of the peak experience is what I was thinking about was Abraham Maslow's theory, hierarchy of needs. At the top was, when you become self-actualized, you're more prone to having these experiences. Even self-actualizing people don't have them all that often, but there's these moments. And I guess Zen masters live pretty much in that world all the time. I guess, I don't know.
Because they've got nothing
But-
else around them.
But the peak experience is an experience where it's not that you're completely devoid of the feeling of meta, looking at yourself. It's that you look at yourself, looking at yourself, looking at yourself, and it all just becomes one big thing. And it's kind of like Kenneth Rexroth's poem about Heracles. He's looking at the stars, and then everything becomes one. And he said that the universe has eyes that looks at itself. I can't remember the exact poem, the exact line from the poem, but the idea was that the stars are eyes, and that you're looking at the stars, looking at yourself, etc.
I personally like if you took the last line, and put it as the first line. I like how that reads.
Say what?
That one with
At,
the
at
gods?
home with the gods, fully in the frame, art and artist.
Except you have to
Okay.
have art and artist.
Oh,
Art and artist
Oh,
unified's got to stay in the
Oh,
middle
okay.
because
Yeah, fully in the frame has to follow them. So you,
it would work. I think you could interchange the first and the third line.
I have a theory that the problem with the last line is not what it says, it's not what it means, it's how it sounds. Because you've got this wonderful alliteration, fully in the frame, art and artist unified.
Ah,
And then I want to rewrite your last line.
okay.
So, fully in the frame, art and artist unified, God's in agreement.
oh, I love the go. Yeah,
God's in agreement.
Because what's different about that last line is
God's in agreement. Yep. 5
Yeah.
syllables.
yeah, it's 5 syllables, but you don't have any alliteration or any sound sense in that
Genius.
last line. And
Okay.
I think that's why it feels off.
Interesting.
Genius. I think you're absolutely right. God's in agreement. Yeah.
Yeah.
This one reminds me, I made a note here, reminds me a lot of the sense in a William Butler Yeats poem about a dancer. And the line that comes to mind is, who can tell the dancer from the dance?
God's in
And
agreement.
so
Oh, God,
yeah,
Certainly not a whirling dervish.
God, I love God's in agreement. I love that. That's you hit it.
Especially since gods so often disagree.
Yeah.
At least in the mythologies we know. They're always fighting with each other.
That solves it. It
Or we're
really
using
does.
them as excuse to fight.
Ask Lilith. she controls all those dudes.
And the last one is a direct reference to Erik Erikson's theory of psychosocial development.
He was fucked.
Was he?
He was crazy.
Well,
I
Hold that.
hated Erikson when I studied him, and I know this.
yeah,
I
we'll
know
just pass it on.
And he is fucked. He did not know kids. I disagreed with him all the way through.
Did he
So-
study kids that much even? He and his wife.
That's about kids.
Well, part of it is, yeah.
Yeah, that's about kids.
I always think more about Piaget when I think about kids, but
No, I mean he
Piaget
said
and Vygotsky.
yeah.
Yeah.
Piaget I could roll with, but Erikson I always fought because this is bullshit. He does not know kids if he thinks all that is true. I'm sorry. Brought back my arguments in psych class about him.
well, this point is more about getting old anyway.
Did you ever
But,
look at Adler?
Yeah, you know something. I've forgotten way more than I ever knew about Adler. But
I like his emphasis on the collaborative experience in shaping reality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
With Erikson, it's like, no, you codified kids and you made them into little machines that don't overlap and blah 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 blah. And that's not true, and it's not. I don't think it's true. It wasn't true of my kids. And
little
although,
machines, huh?
well, when you know when.
So who
And
do you
the
think
thing
was
is,
more
when they
wrong?
practiced that, and a lot of psychologists, when my kids were young, looked at that and said, okay, can your kid do this, do that, do this? And if not, it wasn't can they, it was the consequence that allowed psychologists to say, if you can't, then. And my son couldn't do a lot of those parameters, and they said, well, he's developmentally delayed. And they're ready to say he's developmentally delayed. We need, all this shit. He's a lawyer now.
Yeah.
He wasn't developmentally delayed. He didn't hit those parameters because that wasn't him. That wasn't the kind of kid he was. My kid wasn't any more unusual than the next kid. When you set standards saying all kids must do this, it's not good for the kid. It doesn't bode well. And then, because then the kid that doesn't do that, he's in special ed or whatever it is. And that's not fair to the kid. We do that too much. Oh, don't get me on. It's my rant.
Well, I think he's probably got sounder ideas about old age, but
Yes, I don't disagree with him in his old age. I do disagree with him because I know in nursing they'd always say, well, what level of Erik's, this is when we did pediatric nursing, and they'd say, what level of Erikson? And it's like, it's bullshit. The kid's in a hospital bed.
yeah.
Come on. They're allowed to regress. They're allowed to wet that bed.
Yeah, well,
because
pretty
they're-
much any psychological scheme of typology is going to be messed up. But on the subject of being fucked up about kids, who do you think was more fucked up, Erikson or B.F. Skinner?
Oh, God, Skinner. He should be in a cage.
Should be in a Skinner box, right?
He should be, with his daughter, poor thing.